screen. So you should get a message that you're being recorded right now. And can everybody see those slides? I've only got the one screen today because I'm not in my usual place of work. So I can't see if everyone's saying yes in the chat or not.
Can't see them at the moment. It might just
you can't?
Yeah.
Let's give it a go. How's that? Hooray! Okay, so we'll get going. So we may not need the full hour and a half because what we've got to present to you today is details of the work that we've completed in the last year as NLISN, and we'll detail what we're planning to do next year as well. So there'll be some time at the end where we can stop the recording and then you can ask us any questions about anything that you've heard us say. And also, if you've got any feedback on our plans, if you can see any areas where you think we could refine them, make them better, we'd love to hear from you as well. Either within this meeting live or if you listen to the recording, you can get back to us at our contact details, which we'll share. So this is our very first annual general meeting. I think it's the first time that we've welcomed allies into what we're doing as well. So we're just using this opportunity to showcase everything that we've done. Oh, is it going to let me advance? There we are. So we've published this report on Zenodo. And it includes everything that we've got here. So a little overview of what is NLISN. I think most people in the meeting, I can see lots of familiar names, so you probably know who we are, but just in case you're not, we will go through that today. A little bit about why the work we do is so important. Our reporting cycle, which is new for this year, and again, what I said, what we've done in the last year and what we're going to do next year. So I am going to be referring to this plan. So instead of reproducing it as a PowerPoint, I will just show you this plan on screen eventually as we go through, but that's where you can find it. And I've got a form as well that you can fill in as you go or afterwards. I'll need to drop that link in the chat. I don't know if someone is able to just grab that link and do it for me as I'm talking. So today it's going to be both myself and our co-chair of NLISN, Andy Walsh. We haven't decided who's going to say what, so we're just going to organically switch between ourselves. So it might be nice to start with some introductions, just as an excuse for me to stop talking at this point. So I'm Joanne Fitzpatrick. I'm one of the co-chairs of NLISN. I usually work at Lancaster University Library on the Open Research team. Today we're on a library away day, so I'm actually in a community centre in a village just outside of Lancaster, and all my colleagues are downstairs having a lovely catered lunch. And that's me, so I'll hand over to Andy, who'll introduce himself.
Hello everyone, so I'm Andy Walsh. I work from home, so my entire work colleagues are a furry creature asleep on the settee next to me, Stanley Dog. So yeah, I'm co-chair with Joanne.
Okay, and do you want to do the intro to what NLISN is?
Yeah, so NLISN, in a nutshell, is around peer support for neurodivergent people working in the library and information sector in the UK and Ireland, but we do have the odd people from outside that region as well. We are quite broad in how we define sort of both the idea of neurodivergency and library and information science work. So if you feel you belong as part of us, then you probably do. So we're quite broad church in what we cover. We do focus on peer support rather than trying to educate neurotypical colleagues to support us. So it's all about peers. We are a volunteer committee. It's a group of people just I suppose, spending our spare time doing it, as it's phrased there. So we are obviously limited in what we can do, but we do as much as we can. And you'll see through today that we think we've got quite a lot that we've done over the last year and it's coming up now. We try to do as much as we can on a shoestring. So we do have a bank account and we just essentially try to cover our expenses for things like the website, for in-person events, the bank account, etc. Through charging a small amount for in-person events, through the new member offer that we've just done, and any external funding that we might be able to get hold of. And we kick-started that off through a small crowdfunding event just to give us a tiny bit of money in the bank account to start off with. And I think that's it in a nutshell for that slide, Jo. I can't forward it. But...
Okay, thank you. So on the next slide, I've just put a few details of why it's important that we do this work and why we started doing it. So we suspect that neurodivergent library and information staff are present in significant numbers in this sector and they've got support needs. We also think neurodivergent staff can lack the language to talk about themselves, which they can only learn from their peers, also experiencing the same things. Many people within the network have said that they feel alone. Sometimes librarians will be the only librarian on site as well, or can also feel othered. So it's a way of combating that feeling. Also, with regards to our upcoming event, we're having an event in October that's focused on reasonable adjustments. So that's our in-person event. They can be very difficult for neurodivergent people for various reasons. So it's a platform for people to talk that through. Some support needs can't be met by reasonable adjustments. Reasonable adjustments don't cover everything. So it can be difficult to learn what else is available. So for example, coaching through access to work, letting each other know that that is a thing and having people there to ask about their experiences of that. And then some aspects of working life are particularly difficult to decode, in particular expectations and instruction and recruitment processes. And they're just some of the things why we think this is important. There's likely a lot more and perhaps that can be identified from the people in the room today. So that might be a nice point for you to start talking away in the chat. So why else do you think that it's important for neurodivergent people to have this peer support? And on the next slide, we've got our new reporting cycle. So maybe we could alternate, Andy, and I can hand this slide over to you.
Yeah, that's what I thought you'd do. So in our first year, it's sort of, we'll just do lots of stuff and we'll see what we can cope with and let things settle down. And it's a bit ad hoc to a certain extent. So from this summer, we've decided to sort of, I suppose, step up the formalisation of how we reflect on what we've done, let everybody know about it, and let everybody know about what we're going to do over the following year as well, or what we hope to do over the following year. So there'll be 3 parts of that we'll do around summer every year. So our aim is for every July, we'll create a report looking back on the previous year's work. So that will be, July to June, I think, over the previous year. When we've reflected on that and sort of done the report on what we've done, we'll then say, well, what are we going to do over the next year? So we'll produce a plan for the next year's work, and those 2 get pulled together in an event like this. So we'll set a date in September each year as an annual general meeting where we can share what we've done and what we hope to do with everybody and invite discussion from the wider community as well.
Thank you. And this is the first year that we've done this. So a little bit about our story so far and why we've decided to do it at this time of year. So as we entered 2024 at the start of the year, we emerged from our pilot project under the name NLISN. And that's when we first formed our committee. So we're in the 2nd year of working together as a committee. And in that first year, we've purposefully scaled it very small, what we've asked that committee to do for several reasons. So that's to make sure that we could deliver within the capacity that we had. So a team of volunteers giving their spare time towards this. And we're not overburdening our committee, who are all neurodivergent and have their own support needs themselves. And then also that we'd accurately assess what the network wanted to do. So we are a committee, but we're supporting a wider network of neurodivergent individuals who want to connect. So making sure we captured what they wanted over the course of the year and see what we could deliver to meet those needs. So we, in that year, we decided to develop these 3 offers based around what the network said that they'd like us to do as we consulted them. So we built the online presence that we have. We've got a website, a GISCO list, social media for that visibility, which has been really important. We do events both online and in person, and we tried out buddying as well. We had a pilot scheme of buddying and matching people with each other for individual connections. Okay, here's how the report is structured. So, do you want to go through that, Andy?
Yeah, so the report that's structured that we did send a link to as part of the whole event is that we had a section of stuff on essentially sort of online and interactive type stuff, like the website resources list that we maintain on the website, the social media presence that we have, our mailing list via GISC mail, and the newsletter that we send out roughly once a month. Then there's a section on events. We're trying to do one in-person event a year, so we're reporting on that, online events, and coffee catch-up, which is a bit more of an informal event as well. And then there's various other bits and pieces that sort of fall into the last section, like buddying, outputs, finances, and other bits and pieces.
Okay, so what I've got on the next slide is some lovely photographs of the people in the committee who are handling each of these areas. And then we'll move directly to the report, and I'll go through the details of that and what we've achieved. So let's switch over to the report, which I've got here. So here you can see what we've achieved in this area. And just to switch back to show you the people, here's our people that deal with all this online visibility. We've got Kelly, Stacey, Mark, and Victoria, some of whom are in the call today. And this is what they've done in the last year, 18 months for NLISN. We've got a website, so nlisn.org, and here's some statistics for you. On this website, it states our aims. It's got profiles of the committee members. It's got it hosts our outputs that we've done. We've got quite a few things on there now, reports, photos, and it gives details of our events. And here's our views. So 1,400 views, over 1,400 views in the last year, and 6,000 visits. August, our busiest month, so it's getting busier over the time. And you can see the graph of engagement there. We also have our maintained curated resources page, which you can find at this URL. We've got an extensive list of relevant resources, which has got books, podcasts, organisations that you might find of interest. So the team collates that too. We also have social media presence on Blue Sky and LinkedIn, which you can find here. So nlisten.bsky.social, and there's the link for our LinkedIn profile if you're not following us already. 100 followers on LinkedIn. We've got 1.5k, so 1,500 on Blue Sky. That's our reach. And here's a graph of our engagement over time. So again, you can see that there's quite a lot for a group like ours. So we're very lucky to have had that engagement with our online offer so far. We also have our mailing list, nlisten@justmail.ac.uk, which is a space for just members of the network, so that's not an ally space. We do have some aims on the list, which it's probably time for us to post that again soon. We did say we'd post them periodically, didn't we? Although we don't generally police that, we just ask that you keep it that neurodivergent only space and for discussion. And then we started doing a newsletter as well. So we summarize our activity, share key updates, some of which you'll hear about towards the end of this report and presentation. And we email that to our Just Mail list and post it on our website as a blog post. So that's what we've got in the online space. So what I'm going to do is jump back to the presentation. I'll hand over to Andy, who will describe our event work.
So just a few seconds on this slide to say it's Maria and Sue who are the events people, and they've done some really successful events over the last year, which you'll see. There we are on the slide there. So I can't remember what we've done because we seem to have done quite a lot over the last year in terms of events. The first so big in-person event we did during the year was last October. God, it seems longer ago than that. Last October, that was hosted at Birmingham City University, and we tried to approach it as a slightly tongue-in-cheek event and sort of present how you think leadership works from the viewpoint that neurodivergence is normal and neurotypical is sort of slightly strange. So we had a really sort of interesting full day with lots of presentations from people that went down quite well. I think we had lots of positive feedback from that. The bulk of events we've done now have been online. So if we go through the online events, sorry, waiting for you to pause. Our secretary, Amelia, presented her dissertation research from her master's, which she got a nomination from the Lilac Conference and the Information Literacy Group for the Information Literacy Award. And she talked about information literacy in the workplace for autistic people. That's also been published in the Journal of Information Literacy as well, if you want to follow the link in the report, and that is a Diamond Open Access journal, so no barriers to anybody being able to read it. Something that lots of our colleagues talk about as being particularly difficult for neurodivergent workers is the whole recruitment process. So we had a webinar on the recruitment experiences of neurodivergent library and information staff, with, again, multiple people sharing their experience and the chance for people to discuss that and, I suppose, feel supported, that they're not alone more than anything else within there. Slightly wider, much wider than that. We've also been trying to make links with other similar organisations or similar-ish around the world, one of which is ANDPA, which is based in Australia. So we had a joint meetup with ANDPA and NLISN together, which was fairly informal, a chance for people to share experience and to talk to each other. And as Joe's phrased it in the report, we found a time that suited all of our disparate time zones just about. So we just about sneaked in a time where it matched our expectations. And that was, I suppose, a relatively small one because it was an informal one, but it was fabulous to make those links across the other side of the world. Back to something more formal again. Emma Finney shared her work around supporting users of academic libraries who are neurodivergent, and she ran this webinar for us on academic libraries and neurodiversity last April. Pretty much the feedback we've had has been absolutely brilliant. There's been very little in terms of attendees that haven't ranked us as excellent or very good when we've asked them, and definitely none a bit pants. They're all excellent, very good, or good. And by and large, they recommend us to other people as well and find us useful. There are, I won't read out the quotes, but there are various quotes we put in the report there just to show what people got out of it and their reflections on what they can do next. The third set of things after in-person and online are our sort of very informal online events, which we call coffee catch-ups. So every month, Maria sets up a set of links and sends them out where anybody that's a member of NLISN can just get together and talk about anything they think is on their brains at the moment that they want to talk about to peers that might be having similar experiences. And we have quite a pleasing amount of people turn up to them. So we haven't always remembered to collect the data on how many turned up, but 19 in April, 14 in May, so enough people to get a discussion. In particular, there's been a core of regular attendees turn up to lots of them. That means the discussion and the connections are carrying on from coffee catch-up to coffee catch-up. And then we're on to buddying, Jo.
Thank you. Okay, so I've put everything on the same page here. We'll start with going through your buddying. So at the moment, Caroline Ball is our buddying volunteer, but we've had support from other NLISN committee members over the course of piloting buddying, which I've got the full list of everyone towards the end. So at the time of writing the report, we had 2 committee members who did the buddying offer. We piloted a scheme where we paired neurodivergent library staff with each other for informal one-to-one support. So like a coffee catch-up, but with just one person. So the pilot's due to finish soon or has already finished. We're going to check in with everyone who we've paired together to see if they've finished buddying each other now. And then just looking to next year, we're going to evaluate how that's gone. So in the course of us doing this, we've had 30 people paired up with each other and involved in this first year's pilot. And then who else have we got on screen here? We've got, we're moving to outputs now, which is from various members of the committee. So there's us, you've been introduced to us so far. But there's a list of our outputs which are also available on our webpage. But all this core work and our outputs, the most exciting one of these is that we were named as the organisational winner of the 2024 Lynn Mackey Accessibility Award by Philips Disability Network, and we appeared in the last issue of Information Professional talking about that this time, which is lovely because Lynn Mackey was also neurodivergent. But we've got a range of outputs that are also linked to on our website. So various papers, presentations, conference proceedings that we've contributed to, blog posts over the year. And again, it's not just myself and Andy, there's various members of the committee that have contributed towards that. So jumping back here, so here's our treasurer, Laura. And she's prepared a short overview of our finances just for you to see and to keep that transparency there. So we've got a small budget, which, as we mentioned at the start, we get through a mix of very kind donations that we've had and some income that we've collected from the events that we've held. And then finally, we've got Amelia on screen there, who we've mentioned already as our secretary and also one of the speakers at one of our events. Okay, so that's it for what we've done in the last year. What I'm going to do is, just because I can't see you, I'm just going to jump out. I'm just going to stop sharing and come back into the Teams meeting and just see if there's anything happening in the chat.
So okay. While Joe's looking, I don't think there's anything in the chat that about questions beyond recording the event, but now's your chance to ask anything. So if you want to pop any questions in the chat or pop your hand up and unmute yourself and say anything out loud, now's your chance to ask about anything we've done over the last year, the previous year, before we look forward to next year.
And in really big text, because I've just copied it off the PowerPoint, here's the link to that Google form where it's going to ask you a range of questions about what you think about what we've just presented to you and what we're about to present as well about our plans for next year. So if you wanted to fill in that as we were talking and submit it to let me know of anything, that'd be great as well. I don't know if there's a bit of background noise here. I don't know if anyone heard that then. Someone's just come on the loudspeaker and said something funny. If you hear any strange noises, it's the rest of my library team downstairs. Okay, so I can't see anything in the chat.
Should we move on to looking forward then?
We can, yeah, and it's your turn, Andy. Would you like to introduce our plans for next year?
Yeah, do you want to share the thing on screen? Or oh, sorry, we've got a question just in. So Jack's asked, would we consider setting up subcommittees which represent the mix of sectors? No, just because there's probably not enough of us to do so. So we would if we scaled up enough to be worthwhile. We've tried to get a mix of sectors as best we can on the committee, but it's a struggle to get people from a representative set of sectors across the UK and Ireland, really. I'm not sure what we've got in terms of sectors represented off the top of my head at the moment.
Yeah, it's a good question because we did try and appeal to all sectors, and it's quite academic librarian heavy because they're the ones with the extra time and the capacity to commit to this. It's mostly academic librarians. I think we have got a government librarian on there. And that's it. We did have a school librarian that volunteered for a while, but it's tough to do around the school day, I think. So we're thinking all the time about how we can make this something that can be accessible for someone in any sector within LIS. Some of our events are attended by public librarians, health librarians, but we understand what that's like. For example, public librarians will often take leave for the day and self-fund. So we do have some concessions for the events that we run, so details of those will be on the events pages as we share them. And we always record and send everything out, and there's asynchronous ways of engaging with the network as well. So while I think the committee is academic library heavy, I think the wider network itself is a good mix.
But if anybody, as Maria's saying about, it's a struggle sometimes to get speakers from the wider network. So we really appreciate speakers from sectors that aren't academic or health libraries, as well as if anybody wants to volunteer to join us on the committee that are from underrepresented sectors on the committee at the moment, we will welcome you in. So rather than set up subcommittees, just come onto the main committee, really.
We are always open to more helping hands on deck. Yeah, so if you're interested in contributing, then do get in touch. I'm sure we'll find something for you to do. Which will be, that leads us nicely in, will be within our new plan, which I'll hand over to Andy to give an overview of, and then shall we alternate each point until we run out of things to say?
Yeah. Oh. Sorry, I'll see if I can find it to share. Share the thing. I thought you had it on the slides with the overview on.
I stopped sharing, sorry, and I forgot I'd stopped sharing. There we go.
There we are. That's what I was looking for, what you're just sharing. So over the coming year, we've got a whole set of things that we want to start doing. that we hope to start doing. So none of this is absolutely set in stone. These are our aims over the coming year. And a lot of them we've already started to do. So you'll see the first item on that list is annual plans and annual general meetings. And so that plans is looking back and forward as well, so annual reports as well. So this year it's been our first series of a report, a plan, and an AGM, and our aim is to carry on doing that going forward. I won't go into detail about deadlines and dates and everything for any of these, but it's just setting up that formal cycle so we can go through that each year.
Yeah, and in the report, you can see our description of what we're going to do, why we decided to do it, who we've assigned to that work, and some rough timescales of when we're going to do it. We've also given some rough idea of the outputs and what you should see as a result of that work. And just another note about the plans in general, because we have had such good engagement, because we have built a bit of a small fund, and because we won an award as well, where we'd really like to take this a little bit further in the next year without again overwhelming our committee, overwhelming the capacity that we have. So that's roughly the overall trajectory of what we're trying to do. So it starts here really. So we've mentioned our new reporting cycle several times now. What we'd like to do in the next year is offer some membership options. So we're going to introduce formal membership for the network and for allies. So up until now, to engage with NLISN, it's just been a case of join in with some of the activities that we have. But members have said they'd much prefer some kind of formal way of registering and becoming a member of NLISN. So for neurodivergent library and information staff, this is going to be free. And we also thought that there could be paid options for allies and in the future sponsors. So these are our details of what we're going to do in that area. In a moment, we can jump into the chat and show you the area of the platform that we have developed that is already live. So you can already formally join NLISN as a member now. I think we've just got the network and allies. I don't think we've got the sponsors option live yet.
Yeah, so we're starting off, I suppose, slow and easy and see what works for us. We've got the main network, we've got allies as an option, and we'll try and work out a way of getting a membership level for organisations that might want to sponsor us or support us in some way as well, but that will be slightly further down the line. So we'll look at it come December when we see how the first few months of it have gone.
And if you're interested in joining, if you haven't already, we'll put the link to that platform in the chat in a moment. And we've chosen to run that through a platform just to minimise the admin work. So there's no one manually editing a spreadsheet full of official members. It's handled within a secure platform that we've invested in.
Yeah, so it's GDPR as well to make sure that our data is somewhere safe rather than sat on mine or Joe's laptop or a USB stick or somewhere immensely unsafe. It's behind a nice safe platforms login.
Okay, and Andy and our treasurer Laura are handling that. Okay, so I'll hand over to you to talk about budgeting.
Yeah, so one of the big things we did last year that, in fact, when we went back to website stats, I think it was the third most popular page on our website. So we had lots of interest around setting up a buddying scheme. So we ran that. We've got the first tranche of people through it, either completed their buddying or probably getting towards the end of it. And I suppose we're slightly uneasy about anything to do with pairing people up together, that we do it correctly and right, and we don't expose anyone to any risks. So we've done that first pilot stage, and we'll now evaluate it and see what went well, what went not so well, and we'll see what the options are for any future scheme going forward. So a big part of the next few months will be evaluating the buddying scheme that we ran last year before we decide what to do next with it.
Yeah, and I think that one did become much more complicated than we'd anticipated. So instead of just matching two people together, there was a lot more to that than we thought there was. So
I think it's fair to say there's lots of managing expectations around it as well. So people perhaps expected something out of it that wasn't what we could sensibly deliver. There was, I suppose, a desire around a more mentoring relationship for lots of the people on the peer support relationship from some people. So we want to make sure we get it completely right, any offer we do around it. So yeah, evaluation over the next year.
yeah, and we want to do a good job for the network because it's been great so far. And we've got a few ideas here of what that might look like. So we're going to consider a couple of these ideas. So peer listening circles, just something to facilitate that peer support a little bit more. It's getting quite noisy in here, so let me know if you can hear a lot of background noise while I'm getting up to downstairs.
Do you want me to talk through each of these as we go then, and you just jump in, Joe?
We could do the rest together, couldn't we? Because I think
Yeah.
I've got something to say about all of them. Yeah.
So the next big thing is statistics. I can never say statistics, but I'll try. Statistics research. When you dig into sort of the data on how many of us are out there and in what sort of roles, it's really hard to pin it down at all. So we did spend some time looking at see if we could get any sort of representation statistics on how many neurodivergent people were working in our sort of roles. The closest we managed to find was from ANDPA. I'm trying to remember what the acronym stands for. Council of Australian University Libraries, I think is the acronym, ran a survey 2 or 3 years ago. And one of their questions was, do you have a neurodivergence of any sort? So they have some probably quite limited stats on representation in the Australia and New Zealand library workforce, but that was about it in terms of what we could find. There was some interesting figures in there. So it appeared that autistic and ADHD people were overrepresented compared with the general population, and as you might expect, dyslexics sort of underrepresented. So over the next few months, we want to do our best to find out what the sort of representation is within the UK. So rather than us having anecdotal evidence and saying, oh, yeah, there's loads of autistic people in libraries, I'm just hoping nobody pulls us up on it, we want to try and get some more concrete figures behind all that. If you haven't seen the things we've sent out to mailing lists and across social media, we've been pushing it out as much as we can over the last month or so, and we'll carry on doing so. But it's the survey that I've just put into the chat there. If you haven't filled it in, please fill it in, and please share it amongst colleagues as well, so we can get as many as possible people as possible filling it in. Most people that have filled it in so far are higher education libraries. And I think that's probably because they're the best connections that people like me and Joe have got. So we are relying on everybody else within the network pushing it out to where their connections are, so we can get a much broader picture.
Yeah, and you may start to notice a theme in some of the things that we'd like to do next year, which is that we're overall building some evidence. So it starts with this evidence that we are strongly or even overrepresented in this sector. And we'd also like some evidence of the impact that we've had so far. So for this statistics project, we've got a small team who indicated they'd like to be involved with it. And we will let you know the results of the survey and our calculations as to whether that means that is over-representation or not in due course over the next year. So the next thing on our list is case studies. So this is also building evidence of the impact that we've had. We'd like to, alongside this, and you're going to watch me trip over a word now because I can never say qualitative. So some qual research alongside the quant research that we're doing with the stats, and in the form of case studies. So we're only just starting to think about this. So over the next year, we're hoping to source some examples of impact that we've had from the statistics research. So people who've indicated that they'd like to be interviewed or form a case study further and given us their contact details, through the events, so meeting people at events or getting feedback from the events. And when we do our buddy and evaluation as well, there might be case studies that emerge from that. And our mailing list too, there'll be a general call out for that there. So we'd like to showcase specific examples of the impact that's had NLISN has had on individuals so far. And we haven't thought so much about what format that will take yet, but we'll do that in due course. And I think we've decided there's going to be an area of the web page that's dedicated to like an open call for case studies that's going to explain through exactly what we're looking for. So to give a few examples, it could be you've been to an event, you learned about a potential reasonable adjustment from that event, you tried it out at work and it's now in place and it's making your work life a lot more simple. And without the network, you would have never discovered that. Or it could be that you met other people who are of the same neurotype as you, working in the same sector, and that made a massive difference to your confidence. Those kind of things we'd love to capture because we've had some lovely feedback so far, and we think those stories are there. And stories like that, the improvements that we've made for people, that's what NLISN is all about. So that's what I'm hoping to capture from that. And there is definitely a quiz going on in the room next to me, so it's about to get very loud.
And I'd say, yeah, that word that Joe's just used, stories, is probably the most important there. That's our narrative thing, and stories is how lots of people make sense of the world. So the stories we can collect about impact will make a big difference in terms of sort of explaining to people what we do and what we can do for them. And then we've got on to more events. So events have been immensely successful over the last year. As I say, that mix of different in-person, online, and online sort of formal and less formal with the coffee catch-ups as well. So we see that as being sort of a big success area for the group over the last year. So it makes sense to sort of build upon that. So our hope is to sort of continue those sort of events and build on them as better and sort of perhaps wider reaching. So there's options to do things like a larger scale event. So we may consider a conference of some sort. We might consider what we can do with our international friends. So we've got contacts now in the Australia and New Zealand, Oceania areas, and in Canada as well with Neuroglam, which is the Canadian association that's most similar to us. So there's perhaps an opportunity for sort of across the whole world type event. So those are the sort of, I suppose, vague things that we're considering, but none of them are pinned down. And I suppose we particularly appreciate when people are thinking about what we can do for them, what sort of events might be really useful and really valuable for people over the coming year. Because we've got people that seem interested, both to take part as a presenter or activity type provider and as an attendee, and we have small amounts of money in the pot to enable things to happen as well.
Yeah, so this was when we said there's plus more to this plan. These are some of the extra things we've been working on top of this. So we've been cultivating links and relationships, not just across the UK and Ireland, but internationally as well. And some of these joint events are some of the results of that networking. So there will be another program of events for next year. Something else we'd like to do, we're coming towards the last couple of points on our plan now, is in our pilot year, before we were called NLISN, we did have a forum which was reasonably active towards the beginning, which has tailed out of use. So we haven't promoted the forum. We've used the Just Mail list instead. And we'd like to revisit our forum at this point because we think there is an appetite for two things. So one, some more general discussion, like off-topic discussion, things like special interests, for example, that people would really like to engage in that isn't suitable for a mailing list because it means multiple emails a day. We'd also like to offer the network a way of engaging with peers anonymously, because that's occasionally important to some people. So within an email list, you are disclosing who you are to the rest of the network, which not everyone is in a position or wants to do. So we'd like an anonymous forum for people to engage with. So we've decided we're going to do that on a Discord server. So we've got a Discord server on the go now. We've named various people who've already been involved in setting that up here. So I guess that's your list of moderators there. So we could put the link to the Discord server in the chat, and I'll send it out in the email with the recording too. If you'd like to join there and start talking special interests with us, which is what we're hoping to get a conversation going on there about. And again, that's going to be a space just for allies. But yeah, you can engage with that anonymously if you'd like.
So the next section is carrying on the online work that we think has been quite successful over the last year. Some of the things that we've got have been absolutely fantastic in terms of the interaction we've got, like Blue Sky. Some of the things are fabulous in terms of the content, like the resource list. So we really want to sort of carry on building upon that success. So I don't think we see any massive changes to that over the coming year, but to sort of build on the strong base that we've already got. So some of the things we might need to do is to look at the resources list that we've got, because it's getting quite long now, and think, right, now it's got to the sort of length that we might need to reorganize it and restructure it to make sense to people accessing it. But it's carrying on and developing the stuff that we've already got, rather than any massive changes within the online work, because it's a definite area of success over the last year for us.
Okay. And that brings us to the end of our annual plan and our plans for next year. So I'm going to stop sharing at that point again and just return to the meeting. But there is a little bit at the end that we want to do. We've got some extensive thanks to do at the end. So before we do that, I just want to invite any questions or comments on our plans for next year, because we'd really love to know if we've got that right for the network, if that's something that you'd like us to do, or if there's any tweaks that you can see to anything that we've said there. What I'll do is I'll just put a link to the Discord server in there while I'm giving everyone a chance to think.
Yeah, so again, anything you want to feed in, you can do it, pop it in chat, or stick your hand up and we'll invite you to speak. Or I'll repost the form that we'd like you to fill in before the end as well, to think about what we've done and what we can do in future.
Right, 1 second and I'll grab you a server link. Okay, so there's a link to our Discord server just gone into the chat. Okay, so we're about just over 50 minutes into the meeting. So what we're going to do now is just spend the last few minutes of the hour just going through all the thanks that we have to give for what's made NLISN such a success so far. And then what I'm going to do is stop the recording, and there's a chance for anyone to discuss anything that we've said today off recording. Otherwise, you are free to go slightly earlier and have a little bit of time back in the day. So I'm going to remember to share my screen again this time. And we'll jump back to the report. Okay, so we're really pleased with how NLISN's gone, aren't we, Andy?
Oh, absolutely. It's you never know when you start something like this, whether it'll peter out in 3 months' time and be a disaster or be a roaring success. And I think it's the latter, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been absolutely wonderful to see and wonderful to get that award that was very meaningful. We've got a list of thanks that we just want to go through. So our first list of thanks is to thank the current committee, who you can see here. So myself, Joanne Fitzpatrick, Andy Walsh, Amelia Hare, Laura Green, Kelly Whittard, Stacey Murtagh, Mark Cohen, Victoria Williams, Maria King, Sue O'Sullivan and Caroline Ball. They are your NLISN committee team. So thank you to those. Andy, do you want to do past committee members who've contributed?
Try and mute myself. So as with anything like this, but probably particular so when we're all neurodivergent and have lots of stuff to cope with, we've had a certain amount of churn from the committee since setting up. So as well as the current committee, we'd really like to thank previous committee members who have got us to where we are today. And that includes Melanie Peters-Turner, I'll just go first names, Alice, Anna, Kirsty, Charlotte, Oliver, Jez and Katrina, who have made a big difference to us over the last year.
Thank you. And there is more people to thank because we're not just a committee, we're a whole network of people. I estimate about 100 strong, around 100, just over or under, do we think? So we want to thank those wider network members because quite a few of them have contributed on a one-off basis to events through speaking or attending. The ongoing positive online engagement that we get from the mailing list and our other ways of engaging, and also all the consultations that we've done. So asking the network, what would you like us to do? And the feedback and thoughts that we've had from that. So we haven't got central records of everybody, because there's quite a lot of those. But that network is NLISN.
Shall I just jump in there and say to our most recent way of setting up, keeping track of membership, if you like, the Member Mojo, there's already 130 people signed up on that. I can't remember how many people are on the mailing list. So it's significantly more than 100 people are involved in one way or the other. So yeah, it's a massive volume of people, really, considering the relatively small representation in the wider workforce these days.
Yeah, and in addition to that, so I've focused on NLISN members with that dedication, but we've had non-NLISN member contributions. So when we've had speakers at webinars as well, researchers who are working internationally and sharing their work with us. So we've had contributions from them too. And then do you want to do the ally dedication at the end, Andy?
Yeah, so, stop jumping about.
Sorry.
So, as well as our members, trying to get hold of possible members and potential members has been made much easier by all our allies that have amplified our messages out there, whether that's through social media or passing it around the workplace, or managers within organisations allowing their neurodivergent staff to come and attend to our events. And I suppose that last one, the sort of neurotypical managers allowing neurodivergent workers to access our events and to take part in the stuff that we offer. If that didn't happen, we'd really struggle, wouldn't we? So yeah, thank you to all the allies that have supported us as well.
Okay, and that brings us to the end of our report and the end of everything that we wanted to share with you today. So thank you very much for attending. What I'm going to do now is just stop the recording. And then we have got